Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we are going to be talking about the ADHD diagnosis, but if you remember back a couple of videos, I've done the autistic assessment kind of questionnaire, and that is what we're going to be doing today with the ADHD one. So what I've done is I've gone back through my emails and I've got the actual questionnaire that I was sent to fill out, and I had to send it off to the doctor. That's how they build up their evidence to kind of say, yes, you have ADHD, no, you don't have ADHD. They score you on these questions. So I'm going to read you guys some of those questions that I had to answer. Some are like, they make sense, and we'll go through that. But what we're going to do is just jump straight onto this video because I don't want to bore you guys. But if you could remember to smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's get on to the video. Just before we start, I just want to address a question that I have been asked, and that question is, how did I go about getting diagnosed as an adult? So like you guys know, I was 19 when I went to the doctor, and I kind of just said, look, there's something not quite right with me and I need help. I was classed officially medically as an adult. They had pre-warned me that, you know, there's not a lot of money that NHS can give to the ADHD kind of specialist. There isn't many about, so the waiting list could be quite long. But when they said could be quite long, I automatically assumed maybe like 6 months. No, it was 2 years. But after a year and a half of that, I actually kind of reached out to a private doctor and I got myself assessed privately. So the whole 2 years of that process, I was waiting for the NHS, but they didn't get back to me. So it would have taken like 3 years. It was quite a long process, but I'm going to kind of tell you how that went really quickly. So for me, I went to the GP, I told them, you know, I'm struggling with my mental health, I'm struggling with being impulsive, with driving, with making friends socially. You know, I went into quite a bit of depth with the GP. I told them all about my sexual health, like how I don't like sex, how I don't like being touched, and we went quite personal and deep. And my mum was in the room also, as I'm not embarrassed to say that sort of stuff around my mum because she already knows, she's my best friend, so she knows everything. We went to the doctor, she told me, you know, keep a little notepad of, you know, what you find hard, what you don't find hard, what triggers you. So I kept a notepad, and I kind of I went a bit deep with my notepad. I'll show you that quickly. So this is my notepad. It's full up. It's literally really full of kind of things that I find hard. I've written down how I feel, and I've kept a little kind of journal about this is what I find hard today, I was triggered by this. And when I went for my assessment, this was my lifesaver. I usually forget everything, and I kind of just think like, what was I meant to say? I forget everything. So having a little notebook is definitely a tip I want you to take. If you are seeking help for an ADHD diagnosis, I 100% say keep a book, a journal, a diary, I don't even know, a notepad of all kind of traits, things that you find hard, triggering. Keep up with your emotions, write them down so the doctor can really see that it does affect you. So my doctor was super happy that I'd kept this. She took half an hour to herself and read this. Like I say, there's a lot in there. She actually took a picture of every single page because she said, this is great evidence, this is what we need for you to be medicated, you know, we have to have evidence. So she did, we took it, and that was the day I was diagnosed with ADHD. This book here holds a lot of my secrets. So if you guys are interested, would you like me to go through this and read it to you? I mean, not all of it, because I guess you guys probably won't want to know all of it, but if you are, I will read quite a bit of this so you guys can kind of know a lot more about my uncommon traits that I try not to tell people. If you are interested, let me know down below. Anyway, the whole process of being diagnosed does take a little while. So at the beginning, they ring you up, they set a date, and they say, so what you have to do, we have to send you some questionnaires and you have to answer them. Not only you, your partner, your parents, or whoever you live with, they have to fill it out too, because we have to have 2 points of you. It has to be someone that's kind of known you through your whole life, basically, like growing up, so they can see you through different stages. So I suggest parents or your sibling or your carers, your nan, your granddad, get them to fill a form out too, because it's really good, like they say, to see 2 sides of the story. I think that's really important, because what you might not kind of see as disruptive or a negative behaviour, That's because it's normal to you. That's how you react. That's how you've always known how to react. So to someone else to see it, to them it's kind of like you shouldn't be doing that. So it's good to see other people's points of view because it helps kind of build the whole puzzle. So my mum and dad came with me. They actually had to have like a separate consultation. I was then sent downstairs and they were asked the same questions that I was, obviously probably in a different context because I wasn't asked about my mum's pregnancy. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They ask the whole backstory. They go all the way back through pregnancy. They go deep. So it's always best to have your parents there or someone at least who knows what went on in the labour room, I guess. But here we go. For me, I went up first. It took about an hour and a half. We really went into depth about my impulsiveness, my inattentive, my hyperactivity, my school life and my family life. So all of that had to be like thrown in questions and it took a long time. But she did also ask me to provide her with evidence of my school report. So I had to go back to my old secondary school and get my school report. So let me tell you something. Now that didn't come as a surprise to those teachers. When I went and asked them, they were like, oh, we've been waiting for this day, Miss Brooks. So yeah, my school reports, that you didn't even need to question if I had ADHD or not. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to do. I had to take my mum, my dad, or whoever I wanted to that could prove also about my ADHD traits, that could give the other side of the story. Had to take school reports, had to take work, kind of employment history. They can't just diagnose you because you say you may have ADHD. You have to be organised. So that's why I say get a notebook, put everything in it so you don't forget, because you don't want to forget some of the hardest things, because those things could be the thing that people go, ah, that's ADHD. So I'm going to read you some of the questions really fast. So just like the autistic diagnosis assessment, you have to rate it on never, rarely, sometimes, often, very often. You have to kind of, they measure it that way and they point score it. So yeah, that's how they do it. If I'm not outing myself here, making myself feel silly, I don't know what is, because all these questions are me. I literally rated them very often, very often. All of them are pretty much very often. So the first question on the sheet says, how often do you have trouble wrapping up the final details of a project once you have done the challenging parts? Very often. How often do you have difficulty getting things in order when you have to do a task that requires organisation? So that's pretty much asking, can you prioritise? Me, I can't never do it. I never do it. So for me it would be, how often do you find it difficult? So for me it's very often, again, very, very often. So the next question is, how often do you have trouble remembering obligations, meetings or appointments? Me, let me just quickly give you, Woody, my dog, has had 4 vet's appointments missed in the past 2 months because I keep forgetting. And I had to take him yesterday and they were like, if you miss another one, we're going to have to kind of, we won't be allowed to have you at the vets. So yeah, me, I have very often, again, very, very often do I forget. So the next question is, how often do you fidget, squirm or squirm with your hands or feet when you have to sit down for a long time? So me, I mean, if you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I'm very much a handsy person. I move quite a lot. So can you imagine the answer? Very often. If you said very often, you're right, it's very often. So the next question is, how often do you feel overly active and compelled to do things like you were driven by a motor? So for me, I was a bit like, what does that even mean? So for me, I was a little bit like, but I'm not always hyper. But then I sat back and I was actually like, yeah, I am always hyper. My mind's always going. I always want to be doing something. Sitting down inside the house is not an option for me. I just want to be out doing something. Even if it's like going for a coffee, I want to do it. And can you tell, because I'm talking really fast? So yes, very often. I'm always quite active and hyper, so very often, again. So the next question is, how often do you make careless mistakes? Me, very often. If you follow any of my social medias, you'll know my spelling mistakes are everywhere. Every sentence I do is a spelling mistake, basically. I don't, you know, I think I do things so quick, fast. I want to get it done and dusted, and then I look back and I think, oh, why didn't I read that? And then people pick it out. So yeah, for me it's very often. I make careless mistakes all the time. So the next one says, how often do you have difficulty keeping your attention when you're doing something repetitive or boring? very often again, if I don't find something like fun, or like, for example, I can't watch films, I get bored, oh my god, so easily. I'm like, no, I can't watch this, and I'm like wandering off because I'm just so bored. So yeah, very often for me. So I have spoken about this before, and the next question is, how often do you have trouble concentrating on what other people are talking to you about? All the time. I interrupt, like I said, I over talk and I kind of switch off, and then when people are talking to me, I'm just like, because I'm not listening. You're boring. Like, I can't help it. I just get bored. I just get bored so often. I'm just like, oh well. I just switch off. Yeah. So it would be very often for me. So this one is definitely calling me out. So it says, how often do you have difficulty with remembering where you put stuff? Like, do you misplace stuff a lot? Do you lose stuff a lot? Very often for me. Yeah. I've literally locked my log cabin keys in the log cabin a good few times since having my log cabin. So yeah, I misplace stuff, I lose stuff. My car keys, I always used to lose them. My school, college, I always forgot to do it because, yeah, I forget to do things, and I misplace a lot of things. My PE kit, my school blazer, yeah, So basically, yes, I do. I put them down and I just forget where I put them. So yes, I do, very often. So if you know me personally, actually, anyway, even if you don't know me, you'll know the answer to this question. And it is, how often do you find yourself talking too much in social situations? So I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess the answer. So 1, 2, 3. If you guess very often, you are 100% correct. Yes, I talk too much. I chat. Everyone says I chat their ear off. People call me Tigger because I'm just like bouncing, talking all the time. So yeah, I talk too much, and people are just like, oh my god, shut up. Shut up, Molly, shut the hell up. That's what people, yeah. So this one again is definitely very often, and it is, how often do you have difficulty relaxing? All the time. I can't relax. I'm always like on edge, like something bad's gonna happen to me, or I'm like, I need to do this, oh let's do this, oh yeah. So yeah, I can't relax. Like, even like I just said, watching films, I just can't relax. I either get too invested emotionally, then I'm like, have to switch it off because it stresses me out, or I just don't enjoy it and I'm bored. There's no in between really. So yeah, getting restless and not being able to like sit still and relax, that's definitely me. I'm always like moving my hands, for example, or like tapping my leg, or like touching my hair, or like picking up my like skin around my nails. I'm always doing something. I can't just like sit still. Like if we go on a car ride, I have to have my iPad. I have to be able to draw because I get bored, and then I get ratty, and then I'm just like, I don't want to be here. So yeah, I do have trouble unwinding very, very often. I literally am so sorry for this one. Again, like if you know me, you're gonna know the answer. But anyway, it says, how often do you interrupt others when they are busy? So it's 100% very often, okay? You don't have to judge me. It's very, very often. Don't come at me like, yes, I know I interrupt people. So for me, it's like if someone's busy and I ask them a question, if they don't answer me, I'm like, stop being ignorant, like answer me. And then they're like, but I'm doing something, Molly. I'm allowed to have my own life. Like, yeah, so I can get quite ratty if people aren't gonna jump to me, or like they're busy and I want to do something, or I need their help, or I need their attention, they're not giving it to me. I'm kind of just like, can you answer me, or you're gonna be rude, or you're ignoring me? So yeah, I do interrupt people, and I expect people to like do things at my time, when actually, yeah, not everyone's as impulsive as me. So yeah, so you're gonna know the answer. But anyway, how frequently are you late? Very often. I'll set myself a schedule, a routine. Like I will, you know, try to be on time. And even if I leave before like if I give myself enough time and I leave on time, you know, then I'm still late somehow. I still end up late. Like I'll forget something, then that makes me late. Or I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna be too early, so I'll get the next bus, or I'll get the next train, or I ask my mum to drop. Yeah. Like yeah. I'm just always late. Like, I can't help it. I can't help it. Like, I just can't help it. I don't like being early. Like I don't like being the first person to arrive, because it's like I don't like the thing of like having to go in and nobody is there, and then I'm like the only person there, and then when people walk in, I'm the first person. Yeah, it's not for me. I don't like being early. So when I was asked this question, I generally thought they were trying to trick me or like catch me out, because it says, Can you focus so deeply that you don't notice anything or anyone around you? I thought, like, are you trying to catch me out? Are you trying to make me answer the wrong question here? So I actually answered like rarely, because I used to think I can't do anything. But that now is totally, now I know what hyperfocusing is. It's definitely very often, because for me, if I want to do something and I really am enjoying it, then I want it done now, blah, 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 and it has to be done, and I will get it done. But if I'm not interested, then it's kind of like it can wait, and then I'll procrastinate. But if I want something done, then it's got to be done. Like, there's no in between. So I will intensely focus until it's done, and that could be 12 hours straight, and I won't drink, eat, I won't leave my seat, because I want it done. Because I want it done and I am interested. But if you're doing something and you ask me to help and I'm really not interested, those 12 hours will probably be you asking me to, can you come do it? I've asked you 12 hours ago. Like, that would be, that's reality, really. So you guys are gonna 100% know the answer, because I've spoken about it before. Are you impatient? Do you hate queues? And do you drive fast? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a speed freak when I was in the car. That's why I don't have a car, because if I was to get driving again, it'd be dangerous. I'm just not right, you know. I do generally have a driving license, I passed my test, I am a safe driver. The thing is, I have no control over my speed. Like, I don't see the danger in it at that like moment in time. I'll put my foot down because I'm just like, oh yeah, like I just don't have that like fear factor. Yes, I do drive fast because I have no impulse control and I have no fear factor, and my common sense goes out the window. So obviously they are not all the questions, because they go on and on. But I'm not gonna like bore you guys with the questions, because some of them are just reworded and some of them go over the same subject but kind of go off in a different spin and a different direction. So I'm not gonna read all them out to you because you'll be here for ages. But what I just want to say is, if you are an adult, for example, I know someone who has been in their late 60s who actually got diagnosed with ADHD in their 60s. I just want you guys to know it is never late to get the answer. It is never late to get an explanation of your differences, or why you find different things hard, why you might not have met the milestones that your peers have, or what your friends did, or what your sister or brother, you know. It's never late to seek help, never. I mean, I know I was only 19, but in the grand scheme of things, that is a late diagnosis, because if I'd have been diagnosed way sooner, I could be a doctor, a pilot, a police officer. I could do a job that I generally wanted to do, but because I went so long without a diagnosis, it caused me a little bit of trouble in the employment, getting qualifications, college. You know, I was kicked out of college. Like I said, things haven't been easy. But if you are wanting an adult diagnosis, or even you want your child diagnosed, I would 100% say go for it. And trust me, the label isn't a label. It actually explains a lot. It gives that person an explanation for these things that they can't control, they can't help. So if you guys are interested in me talking to you about what is in my notebook, journal thing, then let me know down below and I will read some of the things that I've written there, because it's very raw and open. So if you want to know, I'll tell you. Yeah, so just remember, I went private, so I don't know if the diagnostic criteria is different, but those are the questions I was sent. So yeah, I can't imagine them being like miles apart, the questionnaires, because I guess they have to go by the NHS criteria anyway, or so yeah. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a doctor. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll forever be grateful. So I'll see you next time. Bye.